All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for joining Katie and I. We're going to touch base on the 2026 USA Games and just kind of give you guys a brief overview of the information we currently have. Katie and I do ask that everyone hold their questions until the end. And if you think you're going to forget, feel free to throw those in the chat and we'll try to answer everyone's questions at the end. So we're going to review our application process, the sports that we were allocated by Special Olympics North America, our athlete expectations, our parent and caregiver expectations, and our coach expectations. Our application process, so we are planning to release those April 1st of 2025. They will be due June 6, 2025, so that'll give athletes time to get all the way through all of our sports that we'll be offering. And then our selections will be made by June 20th of 2025. And we will have a blast sent out once we have the application up and loaded. So all delegation managers should be receiving that when it comes out. These are the sports that we were given by Special Olympics North America. For each of our sports beyond 5-on-5 basketball and team volleyball, we were only allotted 4 athletes, which means we were given 1 coach per sport. So for track and field, we have 2 males, 2 females, and 1 coach. Swimming will be 2 males, 2 females, and 1 coach. Bocce will be 2 males, 2 females, 1 coach. Same for bowling. Tennis, we were given 4 athletes and 1 coach. Pickleball, we were offered 1 male athlete, 1 male unified partner, 1 female athlete, and 1 female unified partner, and 1 coach. Powerlifting will be 2 males, 2 females, and 1 coach. And then for 5-on-5, we were given 1 male mixed traditional team with 3 coaches that can go with that team. And then team volleyball will be the same, 3 coaches that can go with a male or mixed traditional team. And then just our expectations for all participants, the length of the games. So the games are being held in Minnesota and Minneapolis, St. Paul specifically. Our delegation will leave on June 19th of 2026, and we will return to Iowa on June 27th of 2026. So athletes, unified partners, and coaches will be required to stay there for the entire duration. So that is just over a week long. And then travel and long days. So Team Iowa's plan right now is to use transportation in the form of charter buses to Minnesota. And then athletes must be able to withstand long days of travel and lots of walking during the games. And the games themselves, the days are very long.
Next, we'll be going over athlete and unified partner expectations. All athletes and unified partners that are applying to the 2026 USA Games must be in good standing with our athlete code of conduct. They must have received first place in their sport that they're applying for in the 2024-2025 sports season. They must be able to complete daily living activities independently. That means completing showering, getting dressed, everything that you got to do to get ready for the day. There will not be able to be any sort of one-on-one support for those activities. No one-on-one supervision by coaches. Most likely athletes will be paired up with other athletes and be staying in a dorm setting that way. So they need to be completely independent and getting ready and getting up and going on time. Athletes must be able to share a living space with other teammates. And there is a minimum age requirement of 16 years old. Team Iowa will be assigned housing. I believe we were staying at the University of Minnesota within their dorms. And we will have assigned dorm or assigned rooms once we get up to Minnesota. And athletes will be required to stay within those the duration of the USA Games. They will not be able to stay with any family members, guardians, any coaches, other coaches that are traveling to Minnesota at all. They have to stay within the team Iowa. If we do select somebody as a athlete or unified partner, we potentially will be hosting a training camp prior to the USA Games. That would be somewhere in Iowa. Any sort of camp that would come up, any participants would be required to attend that, as well as attending any sort of meetings or uniform fittings. Part of USA Games, like Sydney said, that there's only about one coach, with the exception of team sports, selected for that sport. So any athlete or unified partner who is applying, they will have to adjust most likely to a new coach. The likelihood of their coach that they are used to at a local program being selected as their coach is fairly highly unlikely. Not impossible though. They must be able to function as part of a team, including group living, and following coaching directions from unfamiliar coaches. Food and diet. So during the duration of the USA Games, they will be providing food for Team Iowa. But with that being said, they do make dietary restrictions, such as people with diabetes, gluten-free. Those kind of considerations are taken. But if you're a picky eater, the dining hall options or the dining options that are offered throughout that week may not be something that you necessarily is your first pick, but you just gotta kind of take which food you can get. But yes, there will oftentimes be choices, but sometimes those choices are limited throughout that week. And then lastly, other expectations is that athletes and unified partners will be away from parents and family during that week. Families are more than welcome to go up to Minnesota to be spectators. So athletes may see them for a limited time throughout the week, but for the most part, the expectation is that they are able to be a part of that team for that week, and join in on that team, and also recognize that that may cause some stress and anxiety, but just be prepared that time with family will be limited.
And then parent and caregiver expectations. So assisting athletes in communication leading up to the games. We'll be sending out many emails after athletes have been selected to stay in good communication. We also expect parents and caregivers to encourage independence of athletes. As Katie has detailed, there's a lot of independence required to attend for the full week of USA Games. And then it's important to note this is not a Special Olympics Iowa rule, but a Special Olympics USA Games rule that only official members of Team Iowa or other delegations are allowed on campus. So that means that, again, parents' contact is limited. It's at the competition, but not on the campus that the athletes are staying on.
Last thing we'll go over real quick is coach expectations. Any coaches who are applying for 2026 must be a current Class A certification, must be certified in the sports that they apply for, and then also be certified in advanced training, which is coaching Special Olympics athletes. That is a advanced training that is through Special Olympics North America. We will take in consideration the number of years that coach has coached that sport that they're applying for. And their expectations will be to oversee athletes during the week of competition, as well as they will be housed with Team Iowa in their assigned housing during USA Games. Same concept as any athletes or unified partners, coaches are expected to travel with Team Iowa. They may not stay with family or friends during the duration of the USA Games. Coaches must function as a part of the team, including group living. And then again, if we do have any sort of training camps, required meetings, or uniform fittings, coaches will be required to attend those. So that was kind of a very brief overview of the information that Sydney and I have received from Special Olympics North America so far. We will be sending out this PowerPoint. We do recommend that you kind of take a look at the 2026 USA Games website. They do have a little bit more information on some facilities and stuff, and I know that they will be updating that as they get kind of things more solidified on their end. We will open it up for questions. It may be easiest if we have people type in the chat. But if you have any questions after this evening's meeting, there's contact information for Sydney and myself.
I was wondering, is there a reason that equestrian wasn't being represented at state?
Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Katie.
That was Special Mix North America. Just wasn't able to. It sounds like they weren't able to get a facility or something solidified up there. So that was Special Mix North America's decision. That was not something that we were able to even apply for when the allocation process came out.
So that's not going to be represented on Minnesota?
Nope, it's not going to be at the games at all in 2026.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, to answer your question, I'll pull up this slide, go back a little bit further. This is our application process for the next year. We'll be releasing the application on April 1st, and then they'll be due June 6th. And then we'll make the selection by June 20th, and we'll let those athletes, unified partners, and coaches know as soon as that selection has been made as to if they have received that nomination to go to the 2026 USA Games.
If we want an application for our games, can our coach help us do it?
Yes. Yeah, you should have your coach, athletes who are on this call, have your coaches help you out with that application process. Cindy, to answer your question, our parents are not allowed in the living quarters at all once we are up in Minnesota. So parents would not be allowed to help with the daily activities or daily expectations of athletes to get ready.
And we need it first in you said the 2024 and 2025, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so how would that be for swimming? Because I heard that there's no swimming this year. It'd be a later date. So will that take in place for that swimming?
Yep, we're still trying to get swimming for this next year figured out. There will still be some sort of swimming competition within this next year, though.
Okay.
Erica, athletes can tell their coach if they're interested. The application will be open for athletes to fill as well, but you can absolutely have your coach assist you with that. And then in response to Dan, yes, it will be on University of Minnesota campus. As Katie stated, if you go to the USA Games website, they do kind of detail a little further what exact venues they have confirmed. But most of it will be held on University of Minnesota's campus.
And wasn't it 2 girls and 2 guys going up for swimming and a coach? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Haley, to answer your question, I would say just apply for or have any athletes apply for any sport that they're interested in. So if you do have more than 4 in your delegation, just note that that is the allotment that we have been given by Special Olympics North America. But I don't believe that at this time we're putting any sort of limit on how many a delegation can apply for per sport, I should say.
Lori, for how athletes are selected, there will be an application that athletes have to fill out, and we'll take in consideration those items if they can take care of themselves, if they can be independent for a week, if they've been competing in that sport for a decent amount of time and have received a first place, and then we'll have a committee that will do selection. So it won't be made by one person, it'll be multiple people that weigh in on which athletes get selected.
Yes, Michaela, there is an age minimum of 16 years old. Athletes and unified partners have to be a minimum of 16 in order to participate.
Brittany, the application, when we do release it, will be available on our website, but again, your delegation manager or your head coaches should be receiving that application as well. So you can get that from them when they receive it.
Austin, to answer your question, if athletes are selected to be a part of Team Iowa, they will have to stay in the dorms as part of Team Iowa. They will not be able to stay at their own accommodations at all.
Sherry, when we're referencing the sport season 2024 and 2025, we mean from the fall of 2024 through the spring of 2025. So starting from bowling season through summer games.
Chris, to answer your question, at our coaches meetings that we've been having the last few weeks, we've been communicating to delegations that they will be doing construction in Beyer Hall at Iowa State this year during the 2025 summer games. So we are still trying to figure out on our end, since we aren't able to have it in Ames this year. We're trying to figure out on our end what swimming looks like this next year. We will have some sort of swim competition sometime in 2024, 2025 year of Special Olympics. We're just not sure quite what that looks like yet, but further information is to come on that.
I did throw the Special Olympics USA Games website in the chat if anyone's looking to find that.
Terry, we would ask that you indicate which sport or sports that athlete is applying for, and that'll be part of that application that we send out. They'll have to identify which sport they are applying for.
So if coaches or delegation managers want to volunteer to help or whatever, and none of the athletes from their delegation are chosen as athletes to go, does that mean the coach does not get to enter in to be picked or whatever? Or is it just only athletes? I hope that makes sense.
So if you were applying to be a coach, even if none of the athletes from your team were selected, that wouldn't mean necessarily that you would not be selected as a coach. Like they won't go hand in hand, if that answers your question.
Okay, that does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ted, Special Olympics North America has communicated to us which track and field events are available. We would have to do some digging on the portal that they have for us to access to get you that information. So it's not a quick click of a button for me to access that right now, but we can send you that list.
I haven't watched.
Athletes can apply for more than one sport, but they will only be picked for one sport if they are selected. They can't go for multiple sports that week. But there's nothing wrong with athletes applying for multiple sports. Katie and I will plan to share the sports that have multiple events like swimming and track. We'll share that list with everyone, or make it available on our website for people to access so they know what they can apply for.
Austin, we plan to post the slideshow on our website. That should be up later this week. Sydney and I can stick around for a little while longer to answer any questions. But for now, that's all that we have for you. So we appreciate you all taking the time to join us this evening. And let us know if you have any other questions after we're done with this call.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
I was on mute. Sherry, for the team sports, we would select a full team, so it would be athletes all from the same delegation.
Feel free to ask your question, Tom. It's not related to the Zoom.
So being a new delegation manager, do we, with the new forms that we get in for new individuals coming into Special Olympics, I reached out today and seen that we don't have to necessarily keep the hard copy of that on file for any length of time until after the end of this school season. But what about the information? Do we take that information and scan it and send it to you, or do we just hold on to that paperwork for our own internal things? What do we do with that paperwork?
Still hang on to that paperwork, just like how we used to with the old physical forms. And especially, yeah, just so you guys have that contact information and that you have those forms on file. I would say again, like what probably follow the same process that we do, that if it's past 3 years old, you could probably get rid of it.
Okay. And then we don't need to send you a copy of new people that are coming into Special Olympics. Just keep that for our own records. And then
Oh, no, sorry, I was misunderstanding. Yes, you still need to send in any new forms to physicals@soiowa.org. We still do need any of those forms in our system in order for those athletes to participate.
Okay. So then we just scan that paperwork in and send it over as a digital file to you, or copy it and send in hard copies.
Either way, we accept hard copies if mailing's easier, or scanning, and then again, just make sure to email that to the physicals@soiowa.org.
Okay. Thank you.
Nathan, are you talking about for athletes wanting to participate in USA Games? Yes. We do not have that online yet, but yes, we will get the medical form on the USA Games part of it. We can upload that. Terry, so I guess I'm not sure if you are a coach, if you were on any of the coaches meetings. We did roll out a new form for all athletes, a registration form that does not require a physical signed by a physician. But however, for USA Games, a physical signed by a physician will be required and submitted to us prior to USA Games.
Um, Lori, unified partners don't have to fill out the physical forms, but they do need to fill out that participant release or that waiver and release. That's all we need on file for unified partners.
Yeah, Lori, those can just be also sent to physicals@soiowa.org. Alrighty, looks like we're slowing down with questions, so we will go ahead and sign off for this evening and let us know if you think of any other questions. But thank you all so much for attending and have a great evening.